statement that one comes upon, sometimes in a very dramatic form. For instance, take the prophetic ministry of Jesus, where he speaks and he says that they're hearing but they're not listening, they're observing but they're not seeing
and doing.
But then it seems that he doesn't say, in order to attain to that, do this.
Oh, no.
No, the closest he comes to it is through the analogy with the child. To have faith as a little child. Now, I don't want to talk about words here because that would be disastrous. I realize that. So what's meant by faith here is not something that perhaps would be profitable to go into. But the analogy with the child suggests that the child is doing something that is lost somewhere along the way in some respect. I'm sure he didn't mean that there's a perfect continuity between the adult and the child, but why is it over the centuries that men have said this over and over again, namely, you're not listening, you're not seeing, and then they don't point to an operation, they point to an analogy, and then some of them don't even point to an analogy. They just hold up a flower.
Sir, look, we live on words.
Mm-hmm.
Most people live on words. They don't go beyond the word. And what we are talking about is not only the word, the meaning of the word, the communication that exists in using words, but the non-verbal communication which is having an insight. That's what we're talking about all the time so far.
Yes.
That is, the mind can only have an insight if it is capable of listening.
Mm-hmm.
And you do listen when the crisis is right at your doorstep.
Now, I think I'm at a point here that is solid.
Yes.
Solid. Is it that we don't allow ourselves access to the crisis? That's all that's there continuously. It isn't a crisis that's episodic.
No, the crisis is always there.
It is right. Well, we're doing something to shut ourselves off from it, aren't we?
Or we don't know how to meet it. We don't know, either we avoid it, or we don't know how to meet it, or we are indifferent. We have become so callous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All these three are involved in not facing the crisis. Because I'm frightened. One is frightened. One says, my Lord, I don't know how to deal with it. So one goes off to an analyst, or to a priest, or picks up a book to see how it can be translated. He becomes irresponsible.
Or sometimes people will register the disappointment that things haven't worked out. So why try something new?
Yes, of course.
And this would be a buffer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Avoidance of, there are so many ways to avoid. Clever, cunning, superficial, and very subtle. All that is involved in avoiding an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're trying to say, sir, isn't it? The observer is the past, as we said yesterday.
Yes.
The observer is trying to translate and act according to the past. When the crisis arises. The crisis is always new. Otherwise it's not a crisis.
No,
a challenge must be new, is new, and always new. But he translates it according to the past. Now, can he look at that challenge, that crisis, without the response of the past?
May I read a sentence out of your book? I think that maybe this has a very direct relationship to what we're talking about. It's a sentence that I have to take these things off to read. It's a sentence which arrested me when I read it. Through negation, that thing which alone is the positive comes into being.
That's right.
May I read it again?
Yes, sir.
Through negation, something is done, apparently.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So we're not leaving it at the point where we're saying simply words are of no consequence, therefore I will do something non-verbal, or I will say something because I never communicate with the non-verbal. It has nothing to do with it. Something must be done.
Absolutely.
There is an act. Yes.
Life is action.
Exactly.
Isn't it just
now here, and I suppose I should say for our listeners and viewers that this is from The Awakening of Intelligence, I think the most recent publication of yours. And it's on page 196 in the chapter on freedom. Through negation. I take it that's a word for this act. For this act. That thing which alone is the positive. The word alone came over to me with the force of something unique.
Yes, sir.
Something that's not continuous with anything else. That thing which alone is the positive comes into being. There's no temporal hiatus here, so we're back to that thing we began with in our earlier conversations about not being dependent on knowledge and time. Could we look at this negation together for a moment? I have the feeling that if I've understood this correctly, that unless this, whatever it is that's called negation, is not an abiding activity, then communion and communication and the relationship that we were talking about just simply can never be reached.
Sir,
is that correct?
Correct. May I put it this way? I must negate, negate not intellectually or verbally, actually negate the society in which I live. The social, the implication of immorality which exists in society, on which society is built, I must negate totally that immorality. That means I live morally. In negating that, the positive is the moral. I don't know.
No, yes, no. I'm being quiet because I want to follow step by step. I don't want to go beyond what I haven't yet begun.
Instance, I negate totally the idea of success.
Yes, yes. I negate totally the idea. Yes.
Not only in the mundane world, not only in the sense of achievement, in a world of money, position, authority,